Hello, everyone. This is Teebs from the Fortune Tellers Wrestling Podcast, and no Juffles this week. It's just me. It's a solo show. That's right. I'm carrying this bitch. That is absolutely right. So solo show because Juffles Eric. It's funny. He took his girlfriend to Disney yesterday for her birthday, and he was there for a long time. So he is not feeling so great, and I took it upon myself. I cannot, as they say, the show must go on, of course. The show has to go on. So here I am. I'm all by myself, and should be fun. I'm kind of excited. I've never done a solo show before. In fact, I didn't even know how to set this stream up in the first place. I had to look it up and got it set up. And we're on the actual channel that we made originally for the show instead of Eric's channel. So it's a Fortune Tellers show channel. So good stuff. So yes, like I said, I'm Teebs. This is a solo show. We will be reviewing the Royal Rumble pay-per-view from last week and the Raw and SmackDown shows that followed suit. And the dates on those is January 27th, January 28th, and January 29th of 2019 for all of those shows. So I should note that since this is a solo show and I'm one person and I ramble a lot, I will try to keep this show less rambly, because if it wasn't for Eric with me, I would probably ramble a lot more. So I'm going to say that the notes I took for these matches in the Rumble and everything, I only noted the main and very noteworthy things on the show, just to prevent. I don't really go more into detail with my notes, but just to prevent the show from dragging on too long, since it's just me. I made it a point to only jot down the things that are very important, and well, at least what I consider to be important, of course. So without further ado, let's get going with the Royal Rumble. And I'm not going to go over the pre-show, except for one moment on the pre-show, and that is the Rusev versus Shinsuke Nakamura U.S. title match, because that match has had huge implications for the Women's Royal Rumble. And what happened in that match, Shinsuke Nakamura won back the U.S. title, and I was kind of surprised at that, because I thought they were just going to let Rusev keep the title for a long time. I didn't see them doing anything with Nakamura in their plans, and as we'll get into SmackDown later on, we'll soon find out that that title reign was short-lived. But for now, the finish of the match was Rusev is knocked into Lana, and Lana she's on the apron, for one. Rusev is knocked into Lana. She's on the apron. She hits the ground and she tweaks her ankle. How many times have we seen this where they land perfectly on their feet, but they have to tweak their ankle or leg or whatever? And yeah, it is what it is at this point. I just kind of find it funny how they always land perfectly, but they still have to sell that they're injured, even though it looked like they landed perfectly. But she hurt her ankle, and I immediately noted that this was the seed for Becky to take a spot in the Women's Rumble if she loses to Asuka. And first match of the main card is Becky Lynch versus Asuka for the SmackDown Women's title. And they had some cool spots in here. They had a spot where they both exchanged their submission holds in the Asuka put her Asuka lock into the ropes. Like, she was on the ropes with Becky. She cinched it in. Becky put the disarmer on Asuka, but through the turnbuckles. So that actually can hurt if you neglect your opponent during all that, because you can really tweak back on that post, and then again, you can tweak back on a regular armbar in the first place. So, anyways, this was a big spot. Asuka hit a Fisherman Buster onto Becky off of the apron onto the floor, and that looked gnarly, because it looked like Becky almost landed on her head and neck, not her head, but like, well, yeah, kind of her head. She kind of almost landed on her head and neck, and if she didn't like turn enough, she probably would have landed really badly. So that was a gnarly spot, and yeah, as I said, I'm already gonna get into the finish of this match because, as I said, I'm one person. This was a long show. Also, the Royal Rumble was a long show. I don't know if it. Honestly, I think the main show started at 7 and it ended at around 11:30 Eastern time. I'm talking about around maybe 11:30. I think. So it honestly wasn't any longer than any other pay-per-view, to be honest, but I think it only felt so long because of the Rumble matches. Those Rumble matches can really take energy out of you after watching all of them. And actually, I have a point to make about that later on. But anyways, the finish of this match was Becky went for an O'Connor roll and Asuka countered into the Asuka lock. How many times have we seen that? And she's got her in the middle with an Asuka lock, but instead of continuing the Asuka lock, she bridges into like this is the first thing I looked at. I also saw this on a summary that I was reading, and I'm glad I'm not the only one who thought this. I don't know if anybody ever watched Daniel Bryan's days in ROH, but he had a move called the cattle mutilation, where he would hook a guy's arms and then bridge over. Like he would hook a guy's arms and then do a flip and bridge, staying on his feet, but he would still have the arms hooked, and it was called cattle mutilation. It was a submission. So Asuka flipped over into a bridge like Daniel Bryan's cattle mutilation, but it was a choke, and she didn't have the arms hooked. So, and to my surprise, Becky Lynch tapped out clean in the middle, and I was kind of surprised that Becky Lynch would tap out clean in the middle to this. But then again, I thought about it and I thought, well, Asuka does not have any pinning submissions to my knowledge. And if she does, she hasn't used them in a long time. So really, what else could you do? They could have established before that they could have established Asuka having a pinning finisher, but it is what it is, and Becky tapped out clean, not to the Asuka lock either, to a modified Asuka lock with a bridge, and yeah, the biggest star in the entire company tapped out clean, and honestly, people were making a big deal about it, about the biggest star in the company tapping out clean, and I didn't really think it would hurt her that much. It would only hurt her if she didn't win the Rumble, and as we'll get into it, luckily, nobody really is going to remember her tapping out to Asuka. So, yeah, Asuka won. It was a pretty good match. I wish I could have taken more notes about it, but as I said many times, I'm not going to do that. So, yeah, Becky was just kind of sitting there looking mad like she does when she loses, the pout she has, and Asuka was celebrating. And I'm happy for Asuka that she's actually going to. I'm happy for Asuka because they actually like salvaged her, because last year, even after winning the Women's Rumble last year, she was like an afterthought pretty much. After WrestleMania, she was an afterthought. After she lost to Charlotte in that match at Mania, nobody really gave her any other they kind of neglected her. They had her lose to Carmella twice in stupid fashion, and they had her do nothing. They had her team up with Naomi. No disrespect to Naomi, but that team was just nothing. And the crowd actually was still behind her all that time, and she made it back up, and she's the champ. And I'm interested to see who she faces at Mania, because it's looking like it's going to be Becky and Ronda, or Becky, Ronda, and Charlotte triple threat. So I'm wondering who they're gonna have Asuka face at Mania, if she's even the champion at Mania. Who knows? So next up on this card, we had Shane McMahon and The Miz versus The Bar for the SmackDown Tag Titles, and I would like to take this time in my review of this match to actually not even really review the match, because I think there's a more important point to be made here about this match. As I've said before on this show, I don't like the Shane McMahon and Miz storyline. I think it makes no sense. I don't think It's logical. They made Miz's dad to be a complete idiot in this story, and they made Shane McMahon to just be a hypocrite. Pretty much, it's what I got out of this whole story because I'm just irritated at the thought of this match. On Twitter a couple weeks ago, I ranted about the Revival reportedly sending in their release requests after a match they had with Lucha House Party, I believe it was, on Raw. And that rant that I had on Twitter is pretty much applied here. WWE do not care about tag team wrestling. They don't care about you or your team if you are not named the New Day or the Usos and maybe the Bar. Although, the Bar have now been twice screwed out of the titles. If you remember last year at WrestleMania, they lost to a 10-year-old, and the 10-year-old only held the title for a day with Braun Strowman. So, poor Bar, man. Bar is getting screwed. Just now, Shane McMahon. And I've said this. I've prefaced my rants about this story a couple times on the show that I like Shane McMahon. He's a cool dude. He's nice. How could you dislike Shane McMahon? I don't think there's a single person on this planet that actually dislikes Shane McMahon. It's like impossible. He's like the nicest McMahon out of all of them. But I gotta say, just a McMahon is a champion in 2019, and it's supposed to be the new era. That is BS. I put my foot down. I can't even fathom the fact that they honestly think that I'm going to sit here and believe. I'm going to sit here and believe that this is the new era. But by the way, here's a 49-year-old McMahon as a tag team champion when we've got the Club, we've got Sanity, even the Colognes. They're just passed on by. Here they are for Miz and Shane McMahon, a random ass thrown together tag team out of nowhere in an illogical story that makes no sense. And I'm baffled at why they think that what they're doing is just so good. Like, I don't get it. We have so many great tag teams on this show, and Shane McMahon is the champ. Like, honestly, you might as well. I read a funny tweet about this the day of the Rumble. You might as well just have Stephanie McMahon find a random ass partner and have her be the first ever women's tag team champion. You might as well. Because also, as I noted on that Twitter rant about the Revival and tag team botches from WWE, like, the women's tag titles also really don't mean anything other than, look at us, Revolution, women's history. If it means nothing but that, unless they book smartly and protect teams and, like I said, are smart about it. Because the tag team divisions are horrible. They're in the worst state they've ever been, in my opinion. Maybe not ever, but it's an exaggeration to prove a point. They're in very bad shape right now. Both tag team divisions, Raw and SmackDown. Because I don't even know why. I said because, but I honestly can't give an answer why the tag team divisions are so poorly booked, and just the fact, just the principle of Shane McMahon being a champion is just, honestly, if I was a competitor, if I was a member of the roster and that happened, I'd probably be a little pissed if I was like, and I'm not even just being hypothetical about this, because Sanity, Killian Dane, has been on Twitter a couple times and says, oh, the champs are cowards and this is bullshit. Obviously, he didn't say this is bullshit, but he said hashtag where is Sanity and this is ridiculous. And even just a couple days ago, I think it was a couple days ago, who was it? Somebody came out and apparently went out. Oh, yeah, it was Dean Ambrose, of course. How could I forget about Dean Ambrose? Yes, Dean Ambrose is apparently wanting to leave. And he's they confirmed, WWE confirmed that he is not going to renew his contract after WrestleMania. And so somebody said money isn't everything. And Scott Dawson from The Revival said, Ain't that the truth, or something along those lines. And you can't be shocked because it's the same principle, you know? The more you treat your talent like shit and you don't care and you pass them up for random ass thrown together tag teams, 49-year-old Shane McMahon, it's going to come back to bite them. And they are shocked that these wrestlers are turning down these lucrative deals to renew. And I don't know why. Money is not everything, you know? Not everybody wants to go out on national TV every week and look like a complete buffoon, you know? It's probably what Dean Ambrose is thinking. Same with Revival. Same with the Bar, who keep getting screwed in these positions. Same with everyone. So, yes, Shane McMahon and Miz won the tag team titles, if you could not tell from my rant. And the finish was Shane McMahon hitting a shooting star press onto Cesaro for the pin victory. And the match itself was okay. Like, I honestly, Shane McMahon didn't botch anything like he did that one show with Miz, and that he was in his clothes, he was in his street clothes with Miz against some local competitors, and he got gassed in 2 minutes against jobbers, and he botched a spinning DDT, and it was no good. None of that here, though. The match itself was okay, and after the match, Shane McMahon and The Miz went out to ringside, and who else was in the front row but Miz's father? And obviously, Miz's father plays a huge role in the story because it's the crux of the story. And they go out, they embrace with his father. He holds up the titles, which actually was kind of funny. He held up the titles as if he was the champion. But yeah, this story is dumb. It doesn't make sense. I don't like it. If you like this story, that is totally fine. That is absolutely okay. If you like Shane McMahon being champion, that's absolutely okay. I have no problem with anyone who likes this story. But my opinion is it doesn't make sense. It's hypocritical, and it goes against everything that they're trying to push on this show. So yeah, that was that. The next match was Sasha Banks versus Ronda Rousey for the Raw Women's title. And Ronda came out, and she had a mix of boos and cheers in this match, but there were more boos than cheers here. Sasha was pretty clearly the crowd's favorite in this match. Sasha was getting cheered nonstop, except for she was not getting cheered by Eric. As you know, Eric does not like Sasha Banks one bit. And yeah, but with that being said, this match was pretty good, I thought. There was a spot in here where Ronda started to do a Three Amigos onto Sasha, and that got a reaction. That got a reaction for me and the crowd, because damn, that was sort of a diss to Sasha, because obviously nobody knows by this point Sasha's favorite wrestler ever is Eddie Guerrero, and the Three Amigos was one of Eddie's signature moves, and she started to do the Three Amigos, but Sasha reversed on the third suplex, and Sasha hit a suicide dive onto Ronda outside. Ronda caught her in an armbar, and Sasha tapped, but it didn't mean anything because it was outside the ring. So Sasha tapped out. What do you say there? She tapped. She lost technically, but she didn't lose at all. I'm just bullshitting. Sasha put the bank statement on, and I think this was a piece of Sasha's gear. Sasha used, like, that fell off, a piece of her gear that like fell off. Maybe it was on her arm, or somebody said it was Ronda's tape that she had on her shoulder. I guess that could be true as well. But either way, she used this piece of gear or tape that fell off and wrapped it around Ronda's face and mouth. Instead of, like, putting the crossface in, she used... We've seen that before, like when... trying to think of an example. When John Cena wrapped that chain around JBL's throat in that first blood match at whatever show it was. And kind of like that, only she wrapped this around her face and mouth. And that is a total heel move, I thought. Obviously, Sasha was playing the heel this match. I thought she was. But this was a total heel move, and it got lots of cheers and stuff. And they push Sasha as a face alongside Bayley. She faces all of the bad guys. Of course, not Ronda, because they're feuding, but in other matches, she faces off against every other bad guy, all the heels. She's pushed as a face, but everything she does is heel. All the matches she's in, she still acts like a heel, even if she's not facing off against faces. She acts like a heel. This move especially was a heel move, honestly. How could it not be, you know? Because it's pretty obvious. She took a foreign object and wrapped it around her opponent's face. So yeah, Ronda eventually got out of that. She hit some offense, hit some throws here and there, some judo throws. She put Sasha on her shoulders. She hit the Piper's Pit, which I know they're trying to. I know they're saying that Ronda's favorite wrestler growing up was Roddy Piper, and that's the name of the finish and everything. But I don't even know really what this move is supposed to be. It's just it looks like a spinning Samoan drop. A spinning modified Samoan drop. So she hit the Piper's Pit, and that was it. That was the pin. That was the victory. And yeah, Sasha Banks did not tap out. I guess they did not want Sasha to tap out and lose. She tapped out outside the ring, but that's different. They did not want her to lose via submission. I guess to keep her strong, which I'm fine with that. That's cool. If anybody is allowed to, if anybody deserves to stay looking strong and everything, it's probably Sasha. She's been there forever. She's been neglected for like the last 2 years, and neglected in the sense that she was made really not to look like a boss anymore, kind of like Bayley. So after the match, Sasha and Ronda had a stare down outside the ring after Ronda embraced with her boyfriend, her husband actually, Travis Brown, the UFC guy. And they made out a little bit, of course. The fans were kind of booing. They didn't want any of that. And Sasha and Ronda again stared down each other outside the ring, and Sasha held up 4 fingers. So we all know what that means. We all know what that means. The 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen has officially, that seed has officially been planted, to go back to that analogy. Not analogy, expression, whatever it's called. But yeah. I wonder if they're going to do that. They're not going to do it at Mania, obviously. They can't do it at Mania. They could do it at SummerSlam, I guess, after Mania. They could have Becky as champ, because I don't see Becky losing at WrestleMania, to be honest. It's possible, but I really don't see it happening. Becky as champ. I don't know. I'm very interested to see if they actually do it, because are they just teasing it to get like our hopes up, and then they don't do it? So it's kind of like, oh, the cool thing that was but never happened. I don't know. I'm interested. So yes, she left after that. Ronda just kind of celebrated and did whatever. And then after that, we had the Women's Royal Rumble match, and this match was long. This was a long match, and I don't know if I've ever said this, but I mean, I said on that show episode me and Eric did a week ago, but I'm a huge fan of the Royal Rumble. I'm a big mark for the Royal Rumble, pretty much, is what I'm trying to say. I love the Rumble. It's my favorite pay-per-view. The opportunities are endless for the Rumble, except if you're Kofi Kingston, but we'll get to that. With that being said, I kind of was bored by this Women's Rumble match. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a big fan of it. I got into it, of course. Of course, I'm getting into it. Like I said, I'm a mark for the Rumble, but I kind of felt a little bored during this match until around entrant number maybe 15, 16. It really picked up in the middle. It really picked up halfway point. But for the first part of this match, there was like nothing. Nothing was happening. Nothing of notoriety. But yeah, it was really, really long too. And Rumble matches are always long, but for some reason, I don't really think that this one was any longer than other Rumbles. But for some reason, this one felt longer than most, and I don't know why. Because it did pick up at the halfway point, especially near the end. Especially at the end, not even near the end, but at the end. But Yeah, I felt kind of drained after this match. We'll go through it. I only noted the parts. I actually thought that I was going to go through every single entrant, and I thought, yeah, I'm not going to do that. That's way too much. I only jotted down entrants and moments that I liked personally a lot and thought were important, of course. So yeah, Liv Morgan came out at number 4, I believe, and poor Liv Morgan. She has now set the new record for fastest elimination in Women's Rumble history, being eliminated in 8 seconds. I want to say they definitely. I think it was 8 seconds, but if it wasn't, they still put it out there that it was the fastest elimination in Women's Rumble history. So poor Liv Morgan is now the Santino of the women in terms of Rumble matches. And in my opinion, I don't really like that much. Like, it's lame in my opinion that she got eliminated that fast. I guess somebody's got to do it at some point, right? But it doesn't really make Riot Squad look strong when you just dump one of them out like a loser in seconds. It doesn't make them look that strong, even though they kind of salvaged it a little bit with the booking of Ruby Riot in this match. But yeah, I just think I would have had her stay in there. Also, it's kind of shitty that this is a huge match and you're just going to dump somebody out in 8 seconds. Like, they're probably really excited to do the match and it's a huge match. Everybody's watching, but then you just get dumped out in 8 seconds. Like, it's one thing if it's like a comedy act like Santino. Santino's a comedy guy. That would work. But if it's somebody in a stable that's supposed to be taken as a serious threat and they get dumped out like an idiot in 8 seconds flat, I'm not a huge fan of that, is all I'm saying. So for the first surprise entrant was Xia Li from the Mae Young Classic at NXT. She came out at number 11. She hit some offense, and I was actually I predicted as my surprise entrants to be Rhea Ripley, Io Shirai, and Victoria. It's just 3 of them, but Victoria didn't happen. The other 2 did, but I did not see Xia Li coming, so that's pretty cool. Xia Li's pretty fun. If anybody watched the Mae Young Classic from 2018, Charlotte comes out at lucky number 13, so the writing's on the wall there, huh? She's pretty unlucky, ain't she? Number 14 was Kairi Sane. That was the next surprise, and she's one of my favorites of all the women. She's absolutely one of my favorites. And Kairi and Charlotte got into a chopping battle. That was pretty fun. They made Kairi look pretty good here. She hit an elbow off the top onto Sarah Logan, I believe. I think she eliminated Sarah after that. Yeah, it was that chopping battle was pretty fun. It actually made Kairi look good. She was duking it out with one of the best in the entire business and the biggest in the entire business. So that was cool. Naomi came out at number 16 and she eliminated Mandy Rose, and Naomi was almost eliminated and she was bumped off the apron and caught the barricade. So I think she did this last year. I'm pretty sure she did this last year. She was bumped off the barricade. She did some parkour like John Morrison in that one Rumble. She tightrope walked the barricade. She leapt from the barricade onto the steel steps, and that got a pretty good reaction. It was impressive. You know, it's that barricade and those steel steps are farther than they look. But then Mandy, already being eliminated, she came out of nowhere and she pulled Naomi off the steps. So then her feet hit the ground, and then she was eliminated. So heel heat right there. That's some heel heat. So I guess that feud is somewhat continuing. Mandy and Naomi. I think it's still continuing. I guess it looks like, I don't know. I thought they already ended it on SmackDown when Mandy won in like 2 seconds or whatever it was, but I guess we'll see. The next entrant was Candice LeRae at 17, who was also the next surprise entrant, which I also didn't see coming, which is pretty cool. And by the way, she is good enough to be on the main roster, in my opinion. She doesn't, in my opinion, they are low on, compared to heels, I guess. They are low on actual faces and baby faces, and Candice LeRae is a perfect baby face. She's great in the ring. She's good on the mic. She can sell. She can do everything. She's good enough to be on the main roster. And honestly speaking, a lot of the women who were from NXT in this match and Mae Young Classic are good enough to be on the main roster at the moment already. So I'm glad to see that they're getting the recognition they deserve, and good for her. Number 19 again was a surprise entrant, Casey Catanzaro from Mae Young Classic, and she was also the American Ninja Warrior. She was on American Ninja Warrior, which is kind of her. I don't want to say gimmick because it's not really a gimmick, but it's kind of her style in the ring. She's acrobatic and she's like a ninja. Her entrance, they didn't do this here because I guess the posts are big or whatever, but her entrance is she climbs up the post and enters the ring that way, which is really cool. I'm a big fan of Casey. I'm a huge fan of her. If she was in the Mae Young Classic, she wowed me. She's only been doing it for like a year, but she's already only a year in. She's really good. So I expect big things, and she's got babyface written all over her, of course. And Casey had a spot where she was thrown out, but she was on her hands and knees. Not her knees, sorry. She was on her hands, and her feet were on the barricade, so she wasn't eliminated. They did. It's like the thing. It's like when Kofi did hand walking and he wasn't eliminated. His feet never touched the ground. So it was kind of like that. She was leaning against the barricade with her feet and knees up on the barricade and on her hands, and it kind of looked like she was twerking. I thought it's just kind of a funny thing. I thought, damn, she's about to start twerking. It's what it looked like. I'm sorry. It's kind of I don't really see it as inappropriate, but it was just a funny little observation I made. But she started to hand walk over to the post. She wrapped her legs around the post and then pulled herself up into the ring to save herself. That was pretty cool, I thought. You gotta have good cardio to pull yourself up like that, wrapped around. But she is pretty light, so it probably helps that she's light and she's smaller than I can't even say most chicks, but she's a light girl. So I thought that was a really cool spot, and that got a good reaction. Ruby Riott came out at number 21, and she eliminated a couple people right off the bat. They made her look strong in this, I thought. They made the whole Riott squad look strong, except for the Liv Morgan being eliminated in the 8 seconds part, but they were running roughshod and just dominating everyone. Ruby eliminated Kairi Sane, and they kept going outside the ring under the rope, so they weren't eliminated. Under the rope to like beat up on some people because they're heels, I guess, and they were beating up on Kairi Sane. This poor girl's getting beat down, and number 23 comes out, and it's Io Shirai, her best friend, and she's from NXT and Mae Young Classic, of course. She makes the save. I mean, when she came out, it looked like she was taking too long to like come down. Like she this is just a nitpick. This isn't a big deal. It's just a nitpick, but it looked like when she came out, she was just kind of taking her time, getting down there to save her friend. I don't know. It's just a nitpick, but she came down, she made the save, and she climbed the top post. She climbed on top of the post and hit a big moonsault onto the Riott squad outside the ring, and that looked great. Her moonsaults always look awesome. I was saying a couple times that Io should probably teach Charlotte how to hit a moonsault properly, like in the ring. The moonsaults she does outside the ring, Charlotte I'm talking about, the moonsaults that Charlotte does outside the ring, or inside the ring, excuse me, are really like, she always lands on her knees when she tries to hit a moonsault onto somebody. But the ones she does outside the ring, off the post or off the turnbuckle or whatever, always look totally fine. She does some corkscrew moonsaults, she does some regular moonsaults. Those always look good, but for some reason, the ones in the ring, I don't know. She underestimates I think she underestimates how close they are to the corner, so she like overshoots and she kind of has to land on her knees because of it. But that always happens. So Io Shirai should teach her how to do a moonsault in the ring. So that was cool. Number 24 was Rhea Ripley, the first ever UK Women's Champion from NXT UK, another surprise entrant. And Rhea Ripley looked pretty good in this match. She looked dominant. And Michael Cole in the Mae Young Classic he kept talking about how she was compared to Charlotte because she's tall, she's athletic, she's dominant, and I can kind of see it. I can kind of see it. Yeah, she's blonde, although I mean, that doesn't really make a difference, of course. But and Charlotte's way more blonde than Rhea Ripley. Her hair is darker than Charlotte's, but yeah, I'm also a pretty big fan of Rhea Ripley. She's pretty, she's pretty good. I see a bright future of her. And number 20, this got a big pop. Number 26 came out, and it was Alexa Bliss, and that was a big pop. That was the biggest pop of the entire match, except for the finish and the finishing parts. But this was a big pop. And you would have thought she was a babyface, like, with this pop. And she looked good. She hit that standing backflip knees into Ember, and people were saying that it turns out that Ember Moon was injured. She worked the Rumble match injured with an elbow injury, and she needed surgery like after the match. So she's going to be out for a while. And people were trying to say that like Alexa Bliss did this backflip knees into the gut move. And people were trying to say that, oh, Alexa injured her, and Ember Moon came out and was like, nope, she did not injure me. She worked the match injured. So she was injured prior. I wonder how she did it, though. I wonder how she got it. I wonder how she hurt her elbow. But wish a speedy recovery to Ember Moon, of course. It's not like the show isn't already lacking faces at the moment. So now we got to lose another one due to injury. That sucks. But she worked the Rumble injured, so she's a trooper. Good on her. And number 27 was Bayley, and she went wild too. She looked kind of strong in this match as well. So I'd like to see that. I like to see Bayley looking strong because of how they just treated her like a numbskull for like the last 2 years. So it's good to see. It's good to see that they made her look strong in this match and on Raw for that matter in that title match. But we'll get to that as I take a drink of water. Excuse me. I had to clear my throat. I'm not used to these solo shows, as you know. So normally when Eric is talking, I get a chance to clear my throat and take some water, and none of that today. But I'm not complaining. I'm a man. I can take it. But she eliminated Bayley. Came in, ran wild. She eliminated Ruby and Rhea right out the gate, and she eliminated both of the double R's. Ruby Riott and Rhea Ripley. How about that? Double R's. Maybe they should form a tag team. The R&R connection. If anybody gets that reference, that'll be great. So, 28 was Lana, and she came out hobbling, trying to smile. She was really selling this great. God bless Lana. She was selling this awesome. And she was trying to smile and look great and fine, but she was hobbling. Her ankle was all wrapped up and stuff. And she had to eventually, she was down the aisle. She was like halfway down the aisle, I'd say. And she like stopped and just sat, I guess, and the doctors tended to her, like a referee, some producers, like Finley was out there tending to her and trying to see if she was okay to go. And so she never entered the ring. So then number 29 comes out, and Nia Jax comes out at 29. So there you have it. That was the last entrant that, well, actually, we knew she was in the match, so never mind. Nia comes in. She eliminates a couple people pretty quickly. One of them being Natalya. So Natalya now, I don't know. I don't have the exact time, sadly. I should have jotted that down. But Natalya is now the Iron Woman of the entire Rumble. And she broke Sasha's amount of time from last year. Last year, I think Sasha was in 55 minutes. This year, Natalya, I think, was in approximately 58 minutes, 59 minutes. She came in at number 2. So she was in there the whole damn time. So, yeah, they made Natalya look good in this match, I guess. Just being in there a long time makes you look good, I suppose. And then they treated her like whatever on the Raw the next night, but that's neither here nor there. So, yes, Natalya is the Iron Woman of the match. Up next is Carmella at number 30, who we knew that was going to happen because she won the Mixed Match Challenge for the number 30 spot. And Carmella comes in. She's doing her thing. She's hitting people offense. What can you say? Lana, it cuts over to Lana, and Lana's still down the aisle being tended to. And who else comes out but Becky Lynch? And the crowd goes crazy that Becky's out here now. And Becky goes up to Finlay, who's out there tending to Lana, because Finlay's a producer, and I guess he has authority, is what they portrayed here, of course. So Becky goes up to Finlay, and she's demanding she be put in this match in Lana's spot because Lana can't go, right? Lana's like, she can't do it. And she pleads with Finlay for a little bit, and Finlay's like, all right, go ahead, because, it's looking like Lana can't do it at all. So, why not? So he lets Becky go in. Becky goes down. She enters the ring, and Nia's in there. And Becky and Nia, of course, have to have a stare down because at this point it's obligatory. Because Becky got punched by Nia because they refuse to stop mentioning that. It's part of Nia's character now. The only way that Nia can really get much of a reaction anymore is if she keeps bringing up the fact that she punched Becky's lights out. She didn't even punch her lights out. She just gave her a broken face. So, yeah, they had a stare down. Becky delivered offense to Nia. Eventually, the final three is Becky, Charlotte, and Nia Jax. And I expected this final three. I think my original final three that I predicted was Becky, Charlotte, and Carmella. But I probably should have seen it coming that it was Nia. It makes too much sense. But Nia delivers some offense to Charlotte and Becky. Becky rolls under the bottom rope out of the ring. So she's not eliminated. So she's out of the ring. So it's just Nia and Charlotte duking it out. Charlotte manages to get Nia over the top rope onto the apron. And Nia's standing on the apron. And Becky out of nowhere comes and rips her off the apron. Eliminates Nia. Nia Jax is eliminated to a big pop. And it's just Becky and Charlotte now. And it's looking like, damn, the friggin' matchup of the century in the Royal Rumble. And before she goes, Becky starts to walk up the stairs, but before she can get up into the ring, Nia punches her. She pushes her or punches her off of the steps, and Becky tweaks her knee because of it. That old spot, again, I don't like that spot because it looks like she's landed perfectly fine, but whatever. So Becky tweaked her knee. So they're trying to show, this was actually done pretty well. They're trying to portray and show that, Becky might not be able to continue, so Charlotte will win by default. I knew that was going to happen because that would be stupid for a number of reasons. But yes, Becky being the valiant babyface that she is, she goes into the ring, injured leg, she's hobbling. Charlotte delivers a lot of offense to her leg. Kicks her in the knee a couple times, kicks her in the leg. And Becky fights back like the babyface that she is. It doesn't matter that she has an injured leg because she's the man, of course. And she eventually gets Charlotte over the top rope. She's on the apron. They're battling out. Becky's in the ring, and Charlotte's on the apron. Charlotte's holding on to the ropes. Becky's punching her, wailing on her. And eventually, Charlotte's grip is no more. Becky punches her off the apron. Charlotte is eliminated. It actually looked kind of anticlimactic, the elimination itself, because she kind of took a while to hit the ground. It wasn't fast and quick. But, yes, Charlotte was eliminated. Becky Lynch has won the Women's Royal Rumble match of 2019 to a big reaction. And, yeah, I thought the match was pretty boring until the halfway point, and that's when it really started to pick up. And the right person won, in my opinion. There was speculation that she would win in the Men's Rumble, I love Becky. She, again, like I'm about to say, she's one of my favorites. But her winning the Men's Rumble would have been dumb. It would have been dumb. So the right person won. Becky's going to go on to WrestleMania. It should be the main event. There's no question about it. It should be the main event. There has been no other storyline in the WWE that has held people's attention more than Becky Lynch and Ronda and Charlotte and all that stuff. So, honestly, I don't want Charlotte to be in the match. I want it to be Ronda and Becky in a singles at WrestleMania. I think it's Becky's moment. I think putting Charlotte in is unnecessary. But at the end of the day, I won't hate it, but I really don't want it to happen either. So yeah, this was they told a great story with Becky in this match, how she was injured, but she still fought back and she still won against all odds. So yeah, nobody's really gonna remember that she tapped out to Asuka, except for me, of course, but that's because I'm reviewing the show. So yeah. What else can you say? So that was that. Becky won, and it's funny, both the men won on the Rumble. Seth Rollins, the man, and Becky Lynch, the man. Both men won. So that's cool. So that's actually where my notes end for the Rumble, but I'm still gonna review it. I just don't have notes to go off of. Okay, so let's see here. Next up, we had Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles for the WWE Championship. And I don't even think I need notes for this match because this was pretty disappointing. I thought this was one of my most anticipated matches, too, because I love this storyline. I love the Daniel Bryan character. And I gotta say, I was pretty disappointed by this match. It really was kind of just dragging on, and I don't know. I guess it was boring a little bit because nothing happened. Like, they were put in a bad spot too. Like, how are you going to follow that women? How are you going to follow any Rumble match? To be honest, you know what I mean. You can't follow a Rumble match. That's why that's why there's always been one Rumble match, and it was always the main event because nobody can really follow a Rumble match. But now that they have two, somebody has to. So this kind of served as a cool down match for the women's Rumble match. It's kind of a shame that the title match had to be a cool down match, but you know, it is what it is. What are you gonna do? Because there were no cool down matches, no other filler matches on this show. It was a long show as is, so yeah, I don't even think I need to take notes for this match because I really honestly can't remember much that happened. This crowd was totally dead during this match. Even when Daniel Bryan put in the LeBell lock, like, it got no reaction. Like, that could be the finish. That could be the finish. He could tap out and just nobody was reacting. It got no reaction. Obviously, the big part, the most surprising part of the match was I don't even know what to say about this. Freaking AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan are out there. And who comes out but the Vintner, Eric Rowan. Eric Rowan returns because if you remember, Eric Rowan was injured for a long time. He had a torn bicep, I want to say. I could be wrong about that. It was an arm injury. So he lost the tag titles against the New Day with Luke Harper as the Bludgeon Bros, and he had to leave for injury a while. So here he's cleared, he's back, and they did a ref bump, so the ref is down. Eric Rowan comes out, and Eric Rowan slams AJ with like a choke slam. And I'm just laughing because Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan might seem like a really weird and unnecessary pairing. And it kind of is, but at the same time, it actually kind of works because they both kind of have the same beard. They both dress the same now. And yeah, Eric Rowan is Daniel Bryan's new, what's the word? Not manager, of course, but heater, I guess. He's his guy. So, yes, the ref is out. Eric Rowan slams AJ. Daniel Bryan covers AJ. The ref comes to. He pins AJ Styles 1, 2, 3. Daniel Bryan retains the title. And after the match, they beat down on AJ Styles some more. And he hits his knee. He leaves AJ all disheveled and stuff. And yeah, Eric Rowan coming back. What a I mean, I gotta hand it to him. I honestly am not really. I'm not completely against this, to be honest. I have to say, I'm not complete. It's weird. It's weird. I'm not against it, but at the same time, it's yeah, Yeah, it's an odd pairing for sure. I don't know what Luke Harper does. What the hell does? Maybe Luke Harper will also team up with Daniel Bryan. Maybe they'll maybe they'll just get all of the Wyatt family back together, and they'll get all the Wyatt family back together, and Daniel Bryan will be the new leader, and they'll all be environmentally friendly and uh, recycling and not eating meat and all that. So yeah, it was boring match, kind of. Nothing happened, and that's that. Next match was Brock Lesnar versus Finn Balor, and this match, I think, like Finn Balor said on Raw, was about 10 minutes long, and this was pretty good. I thought this was a pretty good match. Like I said on Twitter, when Brock Lesnar wants to, he can sell like $1,000,000 for you. He's really good at selling. They did these spots where Finn, the bell rings and Finn just goes into Brock Lesnar, like right off the bat. He drop kicks him a bunch of times. He forearms and punches him, drop kicks him a bunch of times. They eventually go outside the ring. Voice crack. I'm not used to talking this long all by myself, so voice cracks are bound to happen. So they go outside the ring. Finn Balor hits a couple of topes onto Brock. He hits like 3 in a row, I think, and he drop kicks Brock into the announce table a bunch of times, throws him into the announce table. I thought it looked like he might have hit his dick because I couldn't really tell if he was grabbing his leg or if he was grabbing his abdomen. But Brock Lesnar was selling his the middle of his body either way. So he was selling really good. Like, he kept making it apparent that, oh shit, it's hard for me to go on right now like this. And it was fast paced. This is honestly probably the style of match that AJ and Daniel should have been, because if you follow a match like a Rumble match, everybody's going to be drained of energy. It was a long match, you know. They should have had AJ and Daniel should have had a fast-paced back and forth match. It's actually exactly like, not exactly, but it's a similar scenario to when Roman Reigns and Samoa Joe main evented Backlash last year, where no one wanted it as the main event. It was so dumb how it was the main event. It was dumb. It was really dumb how it was the main event. So what do? They go out there and they have a slow-paced, boring, rest-holding match. And I'm not saying Daniel Bryan and AJ just had a rest-holding match. There were some holds in there, of course, but they should have had a fast-paced match. They should have just had balls-to-the-wall, fast-paced action. Like, that's probably the best option, but they didn't do it. But this match was, so that's cool. Finn Balor looked really good in this match. He almost did it. He almost beat Brock, but of course, Brock Lesnar, he did not conquer the Beast, Finn, and he was also not the Demon, which I thought they should have done, because I said, if you're afraid of beating the Demon Finn Balor, because they always portray and act like Finn Balor as the Demon is undefeated, but he's actually not. He's lost as the Demon in NXT. But if you want to act like NXT doesn't exist for this, fine. Finn Balor as the Demon is undefeated on the main roster. That's true. So who better than to defeat the Demon than Brock Lesnar? You're going to have to beat the Demon like sometime. It's going to have to happen eventually. You're going to have to beat the Demon sometime. Maybe they don't want to do it this soon, I guess. Maybe they want to wait a long time and really establish that the Demon is really important and he's not just easily beaten. But Brock Lesnar, you know, who else? He beat the Undertaker's streak at WrestleMania, you know. Who better than to beat the Demon than Brock Lesnar? So, yeah, the finish was not actually an F5. In fact, there were no F5s into this match. Brock Lesnar went for an F5, but Finn reversed it and hit a DDT, which looked great. But yeah, there were no F5s in this match at all until after the match, but that's one thing. So Finn Balor went for what did he go for? He hit the coup de grace. He hit the coup de grace, and then Brock countered the pin into a Kimura lock. And of course, Brock Lesnar is the king of facial expressions. So this prompted a new sort of meme. Brock Lesnar's facial expression during this Kimura lock, he looked like he was just going crazy, like he always does, and yeah, it's hilarious. Like, as much as I am bored of Brock Lesnar, and I'll get into that on Raw, actually, I gotta appreciate how good he is and his facial expressions. Just everything about Brock is great when he wants to be great. It's pretty much what I'm saying. So Finn Balor tapped out to the Kimura, which I was surprised by. I was surprised he tapped out to the Kimura. And interesting finish. Maybe they didn't want Brock and Ronda winning by submission both, so that's why. Maybe they didn't want too many submission victories, because Becky Lynch lost via submission. Finn Balor lost by submission, so maybe they didn't have Ronda win by submission because of this. They could have just had Finn lose via F5, but that was too predictable, I guess. Maybe they were creative. So yeah, he lost to the Kimura. Brock Lesnar retains the title. And after the match, he just destroyed Finn. Poor Finn. He hit him up with a couple of F5s. He hit him with 3 or 4, I believe. And I'm not really a fan of that, you know. He was beaten already. Why beat him some more? You know, I really don't get it. But yes, Brock Lesnar retains. He hoists the title in the air, and that's that. I wasn't surprised. Sadly, I was not surprised. So, up next, before we start the promo, I'm going to take a drink of water. All right. So, this is the main event. This is the Men's Royal Rumble match. And some people said that the women's match should have main evented if Becky was going to win. I kind of get it, because if you're going to have Becky win, if you're going to have Becky lose in a match, in a title match, and then pull a Roman Reigns and then enter the Rumble match and win, although Roman didn't win, but you get what I'm saying, and enter the Rumble match and then win the Rumble, surely that should probably end the show, right? Because it would be a huge finish. It would be a big deal. But, you know, there's not really that much of a difference, to be honest. Like, the men's match main eventing, that's fine. You know, there's no problem with it. So, like I said, I don't have notes for this, so I'm reading a summary off of the internet. So if I start to just kind of go silent for a couple of seconds, it's because I'm reading through the summary to try and pick out moments. So, and I'm not going through every single entrant like I planned on originally, or else we'll be here all night. So, entering number one was Elias, which I thought was going to happen last year, because how else was he going to enter? But he entered last year with just walking out with his guitar, and he entered this year. He started to sing a song, and he got cut off, of course. He gets cut off all the time. But who does he get cut off by? Jeff Jarrett. That I was not expecting. That was quite the surprise. Jeff Jarrett, who is in his 50s. I gotta say, like, Jeff Jarrett was wearing some old style gear, and it looked interesting. And it's kind of funny how the match starts with Elias and Jeff Jarrett. Friggin' Elias attacks Jeff Jarrett, which got boos, of course. Like, you know. I just like how people thought that Jeff Jarrett was, like, gonna eliminate Elias. I guess it could have happened. But, yeah, Elias hit Jeff Jarrett with his guitar, and he was dumped out immediately by Elias. So poor Jeff Jarrett, they didn't get to have him come in. And entry number four, I'm skipping a couple, of course, was Kurt Angle. So if Jeff Jarrett had stayed in for a little longer, they could have had Kurt Angle and Jeff Jarrett stare down. That would have been funny. That would have been hilarious. But no, they didn't do it. And Kurt Angle comes out, he looks like he needs to retire. He's not looking terrible, of course, but every time Kurt Angle comes out and hits moves and does a German suplex, I'm afraid he's just gonna. All you have to do to hit a German suplex is just land on your back. You have to pull a dude towards you and backwards and land on your back. But I still get scared every time. Not scared, but I still get worried every time Kurt Angle's out there because of his neck issues, and he cannot even turn his head, really. He has to turn his whole body to turn around. Wait, of course you have to turn your whole body to turn around. I did not mean to say that, but you get what I'm saying. He has to turn, if he wants to look over to the right at somebody, he has to turn his whole body. That's what I'm trying to say. He can't really turn his head that much. Or maybe he can, and he just doesn't. But anyways, Kurt Angle got dumped out pretty damn quickly by Shinsuke, who was out there. Number 6 was a surprise entrant, Johnny Gargano, the new NXT North American champion, which was a cool surprise. I wasn't expecting that. And I bet Vince saw him and just started laughing. Vince probably looked at Johnny Gargano and just started laughing his ass off because he's small. He's a small fry. Because that's the Vince McMahon mindset. And yeah, he goes wild. He hits his DDT. What else? Number 8 was Samoa Joe. He looks pretty good, of course. Joe comes in, destroys everyone. And they had a funny, this was cool. Johnny Gargano was up on the top rope, and Samoa Joe is like in the middle of the ring, and Johnny's gonna hit a move like a crossbody onto Joe. So Johnny jumps off the top, and Joe just walks away out of the way. So Johnny lands on just lands flat on his stomach and chest and everything. So just the way he nonchalantly walked away, that was funny. Joe is great. So, what else? Kurt Hawkins came out at number 9, and I honestly did not even recognize his music because, I mean, come on. Poor Kurt Hawkins. He's a loser, but yeah. Entering number 10 was Seth Rollins, and this was a big entry. He went in, delivered some offense to everybody. He looked great. He was wearing Chicago Bears themed attire because he's a Bears fan, and he had a Falcon Arrow on Johnny Gargano, which I just thought, oh man, can you imagine Johnny Gargano versus Seth Rollins? That would be a great match. So that looked fun. So Seth Rollins eliminated Elias. Up next is Titus O'Neil, and he got a big pop too, because of, obviously, if you've been living under a rock, he slid under the ring at the greatest Royal Rumble event in Saudi Arabia last year. And he came out and he very cautiously ran to the ring. Cautiously. So he comes out right as he gets to ringside, he stops and puts his hands up he's not gonna slide under again. He stops, looks around, and he starts jumping up and down in the air, celebrating yeah, I didn't slide. That was pretty funny. And by the way, I should note that Kurt Hawkins got under the ring before he even entered. So that played into Titus's elimination. So Titus and Kurt both got in the ring. Titus was chasing Kurt Hawkins. And that's even I totally forgot about that too. Titus saw Kurt Hawkins under the ring. So Titus went after him. So he crawled under the ring onto the other side. They come out, Kurt Hawkins gets in the ring. Titus comes out from under the ring. He gets in. And then Kurt Hawkins pulls the top rope down as he's running, and Titus falls over and gets eliminated by Kurt Hawkins. Kurt Hawkins made elimination. So is that that's technically a win. That's got to count for something. But, it didn't. Kurt Hawkins got eliminated by Samoa Joe immediately. And up next is Kofi Kingston, who, as you know, he always has a gimmick to try and stay in the Rumble. So Kofi, since he's the Rumble man, I guess, he always gets a good reaction when the timer hits 0 and the crowd reacts. So, what else? Up next is Mustafa. I'm not going to go through every single one of these, but I'm just noting the ones that really like, and the ones I, because I love Mustafa. He's one of my favorites right now. So Mustafa comes in. Him and Samoa Joe get into it because they're feuding right now. Mustafa eliminates Shinsuke Nakamura. Up next is Dean Ambrose. Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins have a stare down. They start punching each other, and Dean Ambrose eventually eliminates Johnny Gargano. After that, number 16 was Drew McIntyre, and No Way Jose had just been eliminated in a second or something like that by Samoa Joe, like a jobber. So then he just like totally no-sold being eliminated. So I won't call it a burial of the match, but he totally no-sold getting eliminated in this match. Like it didn't mean anything. So that's kind of dumb. But No Way Jose and his conga line are out there, and Drew McIntyre's coming down. He just headbutts No Way Jose and just starts destroying the conga line because Drew McIntyre is a heel and he's great. So, up next is Xavier Woods, and this played into Kofi being trying to stay alive. So Kofi's on the apron, and I don't even know how to explain this because I think it might have been botched a little bit. So Kofi is on the apron. Xavier comes out, and actually, no, he's not on the apron. Kofi is on the floor, but his feet are not. So he's not eliminated. So he's just on his back on the floor like a turtle. So Xavier comes out to try and save him. Xavier picks him up and just places him on the steel steps. But the way they did it, I don't even know what it looked like. I have an image of it in my head, but I actually have no idea how to describe how he picked him up. He like picked him up like a reverse wheelbarrow. I don't even know how to explain it. Either way, I think it was botched because I think Kofi's foot hit the floor. But I guess both feet have to hit the floor, of course. But it looked like his foot hit the floor or something that wasn't supposed to. It looked awkward. They're running out of ideas. It was kind of lame. I think they should just do away with Kofi staying alive because they're obviously running out of ideas. He had a great run. This is nothing against Kofi either, but what more can you do? You know what I mean? You can't really do much more to stay alive like he used to with the handstand and the parkour and the staying alive in Adam Rose's party, holding him up in that one Rumble. Yeah, so Kofi and Xavier both were eliminated by Drew McIntyre. Up next was another surprise entrant, Pete Dunne, the current United Kingdom champion. And Pete Dunne's also one of my favorites, and he's awesome. And Pete Dunne comes in and just lays waste to everyone. He destroys everyone. Has some offense with Joe, with McIntyre. Like I said, this is pretty unprofessional, just me going all the time. But I should really do a better job taking notes. So yeah, after that, Pete Dunne looked pretty good. Up next was Andrade Cien Almas, also another one of my favorites. All of my favorites are coming out like in a row. McIntyre is one of my favorites. Pete Dunne's one of my favorites. Almas is one of my favorites. Apollo Crews up next after that's one of my favorites. Number 21 was Aleister Black. He came out, and I was kind of surprised by that too. He came out with the fog as well, so pretty imposing there, huh? And Aleister Black looked really good. He eliminated Dean Ambrose. Kind of Dean Ambrose didn't. It felt like Dean Ambrose didn't last long, even though he came out about 6 entrants before Black. I guess that isn't too long. 7 entrants before Black. Okay, I guess that's not too long. So yeah, maybe I overestimated how long he was in. So let's see here. Number 23 was Baron Corbin, and I just groaned, not because I dislike Corbin, but because I just don't want him on my TV screen. That's kind of hypocrite. That's kind of contradictory, but Corbin, fucking Corbin. So let's see what else. Oh yeah, this made me pissed. Aleister Black was eliminated by Baron Corbin. that, like, why? Like, just why? Why are you making the guys that are awesome eliminated by Corbin? Are they actually still trying to protect Corbin after they buried him mercilessly on Raw in the TLC pay-per-view a long time ago? I guess so. But yeah, he eliminated Aleister Black. Right after that, Pete Dunne got eliminated by Drew McIntyre, so people good. Number 25 was Rey Mysterio. Of course, him and Almas have some they exchange some offense, and after that was Bobby Lashley, the Intercontinental Champion. And it's kind of funny how Bobby Lashley is currently the main champion on Raw. No, the main champion on Raw is not Brock Lesnar. He actually has to be on Raw consistently. The main champion on Monday Night Raw is Bobby Lashley, and that's just an odd thought. And Bobby Lashley, the main champion of the show on Raw, the Intercontinental Champion, was dumped out of the Rumble by Seth Rollins in 12 seconds. Now, listen, I'm not even a huge fan of Lashley, but it's just like, he's the main champion of your show and you're throwing him out in 12 seconds. Like, come on. Yes, that's all you get. That's what you do. That's what you do. But it's set up, since Seth Rollins eliminated him, it's set up Bobby Lashley pulling Seth Rollins out of the ring, not over the rope, so he's not eliminated. He pulls him out of the ring. He lays waste to him. And they set up the announce tables, so Bobby Lashley slams Seth Rollins through the announce table. So that leaves him out. You know where that's going. So he's going to be out of the match for a while, and he's going to come back in later. And that's exactly what happened. So number 27 was Braun Strowman. Strowman comes in and eliminates like 3 guys right off the bat. He eliminates Corbin immediately. He eliminates Shelton Benjamin immediately. And he eliminates Jeff Hardy immediately. And number 28, I got worked. Number 28 is Dolph Ziggler. I totally got worked because if you recall, Dolph Ziggler was in an interview before the Rumble saying how I'm on a hiatus with WWE. I'm on a hiatus from WWE. I'm not going to be in the Rumble. Don't expect me there. I'm on a hiatus. And I believed it because Dolph Ziggler has done this before where he's kind of gone on a brief hiatus. And he said, don't expect me. I was like, all right, I believed him. But here he is. He worked us, and I was genuinely surprised. So, yeah, Dolph Ziggler came out, and he eliminated Drew McIntyre. So does that feud continue now, or... Because Drew beat Dolph Ziggler in that steel cage match a couple of weeks ago on Raw, and that's the last we've seen of Ziggler because he destroyed Ziggler after that, so... I'm interested to see if they actually continue that. Although, my guess is no. My guess is no. My guess is no because does anybody really want to see that match? You know, no. And this is no disrespect to either guy, of course, but we've seen it. You know, we've been there before. It's done. Drew won the feud in a steel cage match. There's not much more you can do with that feud, you know. So. Number 29 is Randy Orton. That got a pretty good pop. RKO attempts on Strowman. He counters it. Strowman power slams Randy. They did a tower. This was awesome. This spot was awesome. They had a Tower of Doom tease, but Almas had... I think it was Almas who had Mustafa Ali on his shoulders in an electric chair, but Ray was up top on the top rope and hit a crossbody onto Ali from an electric chair. So that spot was really cool, I thought. That was great. And up next, number 30. We know it's going to be R-Truth because he won the Mixed Match Challenge with Carmella, of course, to win the number 30 spot. So R-Truth comes out. He starts rapping. And who else comes out but Nia Jax? Nia Jax attacks R-Truth. Throws him into the metal barricade. throws him around, punches them all up and down the place, and takes his spot. She's just in the match. So I read online that I don't actually know if this is true or not because I feel like I just assumed that it was true because it's Nia. Because you know me, I don't like Nia. I don't like unsafe workers for one thing. I don't like people getting hurt. But I read online that apparently when Nia was beating up R-Truth down at the entranceway, Nia had thrown R-Truth into the metal barricade like face first, and apparently she also hurt his ankle. Now, I don't know if that's true. I think it's probably actually not true because I think people are looking for reasons to just shit on Nia at this point when you don't even need to look for more reasons, you know? I think people are just making up stories to try and get more shit on Nia for like injuring people. And R-Truth was probably not injured because he wrestled 2 nights later perfectly fine. His ankle was fine. His face looked fine. He wrestled on SmackDown totally fine. So, like I said, I'm honest. I'm a fair man. Nia Jax did not hurt R-Truth here. Even with Jerry Lawler saying on his podcast that she did. But I don't believe it. In this case, I do not believe it. So, you all can rest easy and quit calling me a racist, sexist bigot who doesn't like Nia Jax, a fat shamer, all that shit. No, I don't like Nia Jax because she's bad at wrestling. But I will be a fair man here. She did not hurt R-Truth here. So get over yourself, guys. Quit looking for reasons to shit on Nia. You don't need to look for more reasons. So Nia comes in, and honestly, again, me saying I don't like Nia, I loved this. I thought this was great. This was done great. People were honestly triggered at this. I can't believe it. I thought this whole I thought this whole part of the match was great with Nia coming in. She eliminated Mustafa Ali, who's, admittedly, again, one of my favorites. So I kind of felt bad about that. But who cares, It's not a big deal. I mean, he got eliminated. He stayed in for a while. He looked good, Mustafa. So whatever. They're establishing that Nia is dominant. That's fine. So up next, we had Nia and Randy Orton stare each other down. And this, I don't even know why, but this was just looked awesome. Just to see Randy and Nia staring each other down, I don't even know why, but the crowd went crazy. It was pretty cool. I don't even know why. It was just, this whole segment just worked. Everyone got over in this segment. Nia got over. The crowd was cheering when Nia was doing this. The crowd was cheering Randy when he RKO'd Nia Jax. And then Rey Mysterio 619. Well, actually, I reversed it. Rey hit the 619 on Nia, and then she stood up and then got RKO'd by Randy. And then she was on the apron. Or how did this even go down? She was pushed over the ropes. She was pushed over the top rope from Rey and Randy. And then Mysterio hit the baseball slide. And Nia Jax was eliminated by Rey Mysterio. And people were making a big stink. Oh my gosh, man-on-woman violence. I'm like, come on. You fuckers are just looking for reasons to be annoyed. This segment was great. I keep calling it a segment. I don't know why, but you know what I mean. This was great. This worked wonders for everyone involved. This was awesome. I don't have a problem with this. Everyone looked good. And it's funny how people are always talking about how there should be more intergender matches. But the moment they do something intergender in a WWE ring, everybody loses their shit. I don't get it. Which is it, people? You want to have your cake and eat it too, Which is it? You want intergender matches or you don't? It's as simple as that. So, I'm not a fan of the people bitching about it being man-on-woman violence because a woman also committed violence on a man, so it's totally fine. It's not a big deal. It's a wrestling match, okay? So yeah, Randy Orton after that hit an RKO on Rey Mysterio and eliminated Rey. And then immediately after that, Andrade threw Randy Orton out, which was a pretty big rub for him. Nobody Nobody just gets to eliminate Randy Orton and then not get a big rub off of it. So, yeah, Dolph Ziggler, and Andrade have some offense with each other, which actually looked pretty fun. And Braun Strowman comes in just to wreck everything. And Braun Strowman eliminates Andrade, and he eliminates Dolph Ziggler. So, the last two in the match are Braun Strowman and Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins comes back in to the ring. And I would have lost my shit if Braun Strowman won this match. Because we've been over it again. I don't need to beat a dead horse. I don't want Braun winning. So, Rollins, it's like shades of Chris Benoit versus Big Show in the Rumble in 2004. It's exactly what it is. And he pulls him over like Chris Benoit did to Big Show, only Braun didn't get eliminated. So they're both on the apron. I'm trying to paint this image. They're both on the apron. Seth hits the curb stomp onto Braun Strowman on the apron, which eliminates Braun Strowman. Seth Rollins wins the Men's Rumble, and that's the Rumble. Seth won. I think the Men's Rumble was better than the Women's. Yeah, I thought the Rumble was fun. I seem to have enjoyed the show way more than most people. Maybe, again, because I'm a mark for the Rumble, but I really like it. I really enjoyed it. It was fun. I don't know what else to say. I'm just trying to read through these, read through everything, and yeah, I think that's it for the Rumble. I think I'll just get headed straight into Raw. These are the Fallout shows for the Rumble, Raw and SmackDown. And I didn't take any notes for this, but I tweeted. I actually missed. I watched the rest of it after at a later point, but I only got to see the first hour on Monday, but then I watched it at a later point. So I kind of knew some of the things. I was kind of spoiled via Twitter what happened on some of these things. So Seth Rollins comes out. He's going to say, he's talking about how all I wanted to do was win the Rumble and blah, 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 and he won. And now he's going to make his choice. He can face Brock Lesnar or he can face Daniel Bryan. And obviously, the crowd wanted Seth Rollins to freaking... The crowd wanted Seth Rollins to face Brock Lesnar. There's no other scenario where this is going to happen. And the crowd started chanting, "Take his belt, slay the beast." Triple H comes out, and Triple H hypes up Seth Rollins and just pretty much puts him over. Just pretty much just really, really puts over Seth Rollins as if he needed any more putting over, of course, because he's already one of the biggest stars in the company. But they start talking, and he's like, Triple H is like, "You've got a big choice to make, and you've got until the end of the night. I'm giving you're not going to get the time that most other people get to make their decision. You've got to the end of the night to make your decision on who you're facing." So Seth is like, "That's one of the biggest decisions I'll ever make in my life." And then Dean Ambrose comes in, and he says this is a bunch of baloney. He says that it's like a father and son thing, and it makes him sick. And he's like, honestly, I'm kind of surprised to still see Dean and Seth against each other, because I thought we were done with that after all this time. But yeah, poor Dean out there to take the job for Seth. There's no way he was going to lose to Seth. Triple H sets up Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose. And this was a pretty... I don't really remember much from this match because it was just kind of basic. Nothing really special at all. It was just kind of there. Seth Rollins won with the curb stomp. That was that. That was really it. And I don't know what else to say other than poor Dean. Just kind of there. Commentary hyped up the Baron Corbin versus Kurt Angle match for later on in the show. And they go to commercial break. But after they get back from commercial break, Dean Ambrose is in a chair, sitting in a steel chair in the middle of the ring. And whenever a wrestler does that, you know he's going to say some shit. He's going to say some shit, right? So he starts to say something. He's like, I'm opening up to you people. I've got something very serious to share with you guys, or something like that. But before he says anything, Nia Jax and Tamina come out because they're going to have their match against Alexa Bliss and Mickie James, um, the Elimination Chamber Women's Tag Team Championship qualifying match. So Nia Jax and Tamina come out. Dean Ambrose and Nia Jax are staring down in the ring, and Dean just kind of talks back to Nia, and I don't know what this was about, and he just goes to turn out of the ring, and Nia punched Dean. Nia punched Dean out of the ring, but it looked like a nothing punch. It looked weaker than air. I don't even know what that means, what I just said, weaker than air, but for some reason it makes so much sense to me when I say it. I don't know what it means. But she punched him, it did nothing, he just kind of was like, huh? And then walked away. So, I don't know what the point of that was. I guess they're promoting more intergender shit? I don't know. I guess we'll see. But yeah, Alexa Bliss and Mickie James come out, and excuse me. I gotta say something about this match. I was watching this live, and I could not believe my fucking ears when I heard Nia Jax being cheered in a match against Alexa Bliss. I could not believe it. I have to say, Daniel Bryan is absolutely 100% correct when he says that WWE fans are the most fickle fans on the planet. It was not even a full 3 months ago that Nia Jax punched Becky Lynch in the face, which prevented her from being in one of the most anticipated matches of the entire year, and she was universally hated. She was booed every single night, everywhere she went. But now here they are, she's getting cheered. Why? I don't get it. She wasn't getting massive cheers. She was getting cheered though. She was getting more cheers than she was boos. Let me put it to you that way. Maybe I was watching a different show. Maybe on my end, she wasn't getting cheered. Or she was getting cheered. And on others' ends, she wasn't getting cheered. But on my end, I heard the crowd applaud her and cheer her, and just fickle, in the words of Daniel Bryan. I don't get it. And I thought, so they're putting two heel teams against each other and letting them face off against each other. And I thought, oh God, no. Please do not tell me they're trying to push Nia Jax as a babyface. That would be stupid. And I don't buy it for a second. And this match, Alexa Bliss tried her hardest to get things going. But Tamina was just doing nothing. When Tamina was in there with Alexa, I don't even know what that was about, because Tamina normally is really good, in my opinion. I think people give Tamina too much shit. She's kind of boring as a character, but she's actually not bad in the ring at all. I think people really overlook her in the ring. I thought forever that Tamina should have been what Nia Jax should be, because Tamina can actually wrestle, but she's just boring, that's all. But with that being said, I don't know what happened. Maybe Tamina was just out of it, because Alexa was trying to do stuff with Tamina, and Tamina just was kind of there doing nothing. And the finish was Nia Jax won. Nia Jax and Tamina won. Nia Jax had a double Samoan drop onto Mickie and Alexa, and I thought, so Alexa's first match up without the Rumble, of course. Alexa's first match back is against Nia Jax. Alexa Bliss's first match back from injury is against Nia Jax. Who the fuck came up with that idea? Do they want her to get hurt? I am not convinced that Nia cannot injure anyone anymore. When I said I was worried that Kurt Wrestling I'm still more worried when Nia's wrestling because she has injured so many people. And the first person you have Alexa face in her first match back from injury, a head injury, a concussion injury, which was rumored to have almost retired her. Now, I didn't believe that, but it was rumored. But concussions are nothing to mess with, of course. So her first match back from injury is with Nia Jax. I would fire whoever made that decision. I don't understand it. I don't get it. Um, I and again, two heel teams facing off against each other. I don't get it. The whole dynamic was dumb. I thought that they might as well just turn Alexa Bliss face alongside Mickey, since the fans already love Alexa dearly and she got a huge pop at the Rumble and she gets a huge pop everywhere she goes. She might as well just turn face and get rid of that stupid talk show that she has, because it's nothing. That talk show's dumb, and I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking things, but when I heard Nia Jax getting cheered, I just was baffled. So up next, we got Kurt Angle versus Baron Corbin, and they're both in the ring, and Corbin starts jaw-jacking at Kurt on the mic, and he's like, I don't know if you have what it takes, and you suck, and blah, 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 and Kurt Angle interrupts him. He decks him in the face, starts laying some offense into him. This was a very short match. The finish, Baron Corbin won. Baron Corbin won with a deep six. He didn't even win with his real finisher. He won with a deep six. And when Baron Corbin pinned Kurt Angle, you could have heard a pin drop. That crowd was so, you could just tell the atmosphere in the crowd that they were so disappointed that Kurt Angle lost to Baron Corbin. And turns out they announced on Twitter that Kurt Angle is going to announce what he's going to do with his future in WWE after this loss. Losing to Baron Corbin is probably about the lowest you can get in the history of wrestling, in my opinion. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just bullshitting. But yeah, poor Kurt Angle. The crowd was like, "What?" But not like audibly, but you could still tell kind of that they were like, "What the hell?" Like it was quiet when Baron Corbin won. And up next, they showed a video package about the Brock Lesnar and Finn Balor match. And this was actually where I left. This is where I left on Monday. So I left right as Finn Balor. Well, first of all, let me just go over it. Finn Balor comes out and he talks that last night I got beat by Brock Lesnar. And then after the match, I got beat again because he beat him up horribly after the match. So Finn Balor is like, I've never, ever seen speed or power like that, let alone combined. And I'm hurt. I'm really hurt. But I'm not standing with my head held low. I made Brock Lesnar believe. I made him believe in Finn Balor. So the crowd's behind him. The crowd's cheering, and out comes Bobby Lashley. And I don't even know where to begin. I started this show with Eric in December, so I did not rant about this when the show started because this feud was already done, I think. But if you go back on my Twitter, like a month or two before the show started, so maybe November, October, I ranted on and on and on Twitter about how Finn Balor versus Bobby Lashley is never going to end. That feud is never going to end. Finn Balor versus Lashley every single week, it felt like. And it finally ended. I forgot about it. I'm like, thank God that feud is over. But here it is. They're going to freaking feud again. Why? New era. If I hear new era or change one more time, I'm going to lose it. Because it's not true. Finn Balor versus Bobby Lashley again. So Bobby Lashley comes out, and Leo Rush, of all people, says, "It's a disgrace that a twerp like you even got a title shot against Brock Lesnar." And I'm like, well, I mean, Leo Rush is smaller than Finn Balor. What do you mean by a twerp? Are you trying to say that since he's small, he's bad? Well, you're smaller than Finn, so are you burying yourself? But either way, he goes, "We all know that you almost beat Lesnar last night, but Brock Lesnar would not stand a chance against Lashley." And obviously, he's this hype man, so he's putting him over. So Finn said, "Didn't you get eliminated in the Rumble last night in 12 seconds?" And that really angered Lashley, so Lashley absolutely destroyed Finn Balor. And fuck, man, this feud's never gonna end, is it? I was happy when this feud ended a couple months ago, and here it is again. So does that mean Bobby Lashley is a placeholder champion? Does that mean Finn Balor is gonna win the Intercontinental title and get a little bit of a push? You know what? If so, that's fine. If so, I'm cool with that because I love Finn. And I'm not even against Lashley being the champion, to be honest. But yeah, I just hate that we have to see this match again. That's all I'm saying. So up next, we had Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder versus the Revival. And of course, I did not expect Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder to win. But the Revival won with the Shatter Machine. And it was really a basic match. Nothing really noteworthy. Kurt Hawkins, after the match, was really mad. He was like, "Damn it! We could have had him." And Zack Ryder was trying to keep him motivated. And I'm just saying, I love that Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder are back together. They actually showed, before the match, they showed some highlights of Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder from like 10 years ago when they were edgeheads and when they won their tag team titles at the Great American Bash of 2008. I thought that was pretty cool. They were showing, hey, you know, these guys have history. So they actually explained it for maybe some newer fans that didn't know that they used to be tag team partners. So I always like that. They actually pay attention to detail instead of just saying it or forgetting to say it, which is like what they normally do. So up next, Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan are interviewed backstage, and Daniel's like, "I would have beaten AJ Styles last night, whether Rowan was there or not." And as for Seth, he's pretty much he just tells him, "You don't want none of this," in a nutshell. So oh yeah, he had a funny line though. I gotta mention this. He said Seth Rollins celebrates pollution every time he talks about burning it down. That was pretty funny. I love Daniel Bryan so much. So what's next? After that, they show that WrestleMania is 69 days away. We're on officially the road to WrestleMania. We are there only about 3 or so months, or two or so months away. So, fun times. The road to WrestleMania is always fun. So up next, we get Elias in the ring, and he's talking about how he pretty much the crowd let down Elias, is what he said. The crowd's really let me down, and you're not worthy of my songs. And the crowd chants, "We're not worthy," which was pretty funny. So they turn Elias heel. Jeff Jarrett comes out, and Jeff Jarrett's still here. That's cool. I actually like Jarrett. I don't have a problem with this, except for the fact like people are obviously gonna construe it like, well, it's the new era, and here's this old guy coming out. You know, Jeff Jarrett comes out, spells his name. Road Dogg comes out, and they're gonna both sing "With My Baby" tonight, of course. Road Dogg and Jeff Jarrett. So it kind of got a little awkward when they were trying to sing it, but Renee was given the mic by Road Dogg, and she didn't know the lyrics. So that was kind of funny, but it was also awkward at the same time. So he was going around the crowd, around the ringside, singing it, and having a good old time. And Elias comes out of nowhere, and hits Road Dogg with a guitar. And he had a couple of guitars in the ring, very conveniently, I guess. So he hits Road Dogg outside the ring with his guitar. And by the way, Road Dogg was wearing a The Man shirt, so he's repping Becky Lynch, of course, putting over that brand, and that was cool. So he gets in the ring with Jeff Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett starts hitting him with some punches. Elias eventually gets the upper hand. He hits Jeff Jarrett with a guitar. Elias is now heel. I don't know why. We're low on baby faces, so let's just turn one of our organically over baby faces heel. Like, why? I don't get it. Let's just keep turning people over and over and over and over again. He's only been a face for like a couple of months. I don't even get it. Like, I could rant about this all day, but nothing's ever going to change. You know? Elias is heel now for some reason, and they announced on Twitter that Jeff Jarrett is going to face off one-on-one against Elias on Raw tomorrow night, so that's fun. Great. So, up next, we have a backstage segment between Dana Brooke and Natalya, and they are now a tag team trying to qualify for the Elimination Chamber women's tag title match. And at first I thought, are you serious? Did they seriously turn Dana Brooke face with no explanation? But I was wrong. I was thankfully wrong, because Dana Brooke says, I know I'm better than you, but I think this is just one of those cases where they just wanted to be in the team so that they could be in the match, the chamber match. So they don't really like each other, but they're still just trying to work together. So Dana Brooke is still a heel. I'm glad they didn't just fucking turn her again, like they always do with everyone. They just turn. So up next, we got a Mojo Rawley promo. It's been a while since we've seen Mojo Rawley. First Zack Ryder's back, first Kurt Hawkins back, and now Mojo Rawley. And he says, I have no one to blame but you for my failure. It's all your fault, and this is because of you. And I'm like, who the hell is he talking to? And then the camera pans over, and he's talking into a mirror. So he's blaming himself for why he's bad. And he said, no more of that. I'm going to show everyone soon who I really am. And I reckon we probably never see him on Raw again. So, up next was Dana Brooke and Natalya versus the Riot Squad, which was Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan in this match. And they did not job out Liv Morgan in 8 seconds like they did in the Rumble, so that's good. Poor Natalya. Poor Natalya was the Iron Woman of the Rumble, in the Women's Rumble, and now she's just losing. And I'm not against Riot Squad winning at all. I actually think it's fine. I love Riot Squad as probably as no one knows, but I don't know. I'm overthinking it. Poor Natalya. She was the Iron Woman, and now she's just lost in a match with Dana Brooke. And she lost to a schoolboy, too. Like, it wasn't even a finish. It was a schoolboy. She got rolled up. So, yeah, Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan, representing Riot Squad, are now in the Women's Tag Team Championship match at the Elimination Chamber. So, yeah, it is what it is. Up next, we had the Ronda Rousey segment. And boy, oh boy, did this crowd hate Ronda Rousey. This crowd was nonstop boos when Ronda came out. And that promo she cut 2 weeks ago, I want to say. Maybe it was a week. I think it was 2 weeks ago, where she was stumbling over her lines. She was backstage interviewed by Charlie Caruso. She was stumbling over her lines a little bit, and I didn't like that promo, but then eventually I was like, all right, well, it wasn't scripted, and it showed her emotion, and she was passionate, and I looked at the promo in a different way. I didn't hate it. But this promo, I could totally tell this promo was scripted. She said, what's the point of dreaming if you're not going to dream big, ridiculous dreams? And the crowd was not having it. This crowd was booing her endlessly. She goes, I made my debut at the end of the first Women's Rumble last year, and now I'm the champion. Last night, Sasha gave the fight of her life. And the crowd doesn't give a shit. The crowd is chanting for Becky Lynch, of course. The crowd's chanting Becky very loudly. And there was one point. There was one point where Ronda was telling Sasha, "Thank you for the match, and you fought your heart out." And Sasha put on a great performance, and she like stumbled a little bit. She stuttered, and she got flustered, and she was like, "All right, you guys made me stutter. You got me." And the crowd didn't give a shit. They were still booing, so that was kind of awkward. You never point out when you fuck up. You just keep going. You don't point out when you screw up. You just keep going and hope that nobody really makes a big deal of it, you know? So she knows Becky Lynch is watching her, and she knows that she's got a choice to make. So, oh yeah, by the way, I should mention, I totally forgot about this. She came out to do an open challenge for the Raw Women's title because they established a month ago that she wants to be a fighting champion after every pay-per-view. She's going to have an open challenge after every pay-per-view match she has. So Bayley comes out and she accepts the challenge. And so now it's Bayley versus Ronda Rousey for the Raw Women's title. And I got to say, this match was not how do I want to put this? It was not what you would expect from these two women. This match was pretty sloppy, I thought. And I noticed watching this that they both looked lost during this match. Like they had no idea what to do. And there was one spot where Ronda like landed on her knee or her ankle or whatever, and Bayley wasn't there. So Ronda, when she landed, sold her knee or her leg. So Bayley, you could tell like it was you could tell it was a little botchy, but it wasn't like outright botchy, you know? She landed, but then like sold as if she tweaked her leg, right? So Bayley kind of saved it. Bayley chop blocked Ronda, and then she hit a dragon screw in the ropes, and so she's working over Ronda's leg now. So eventually, she's not working over the leg. I guess that was just to try and save that little bit of a botch. And they kind of looked lost. I don't know. They looked lost in this match. There were moments where Bayley was just kind of waiting for something to happen and waiting for, I don't know. It did not look planned out like normal Ronda matches, but yeah, obviously Ronda won against Bayley, and she tapped out to the armbar. So they'll I'm stuttering now. They're totally fine with Sasha not tapping out, or they're totally fine with Bayley tapping out, but no, you can't have Sasha tap out. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't make a difference, but who cares? So Bayley's in the corner. She's kind of mad that she lost, and Ronda offers her hand. Bayley accepts her hand. She's helped up by Ronda, and it's kind of fun. It kind of tells you how just how different Sasha and Bayley are. Sasha was offered a handshake from Ronda, and she rejected. But Bayley's offered a handshake, and she accepts, because I guess Bayley's just not a nice person. So out comes Becky Lynch. This is where the segment really kicked in. The crowd went crazy. This got a pretty big pop. This crowd was totally wanting Becky Lynch to be here. If she wasn't there, it was probably just going to end in like, well, that was dumb as shit. What was the point of that? You know? But Becky comes out hobbling because she's selling her leg, and she comes out. She's out there. Crowds are going crazy, chanting Becky. And she goes, "I told you I'd find a way to be back on Raw." And she goes, "For about a year, I've been hearing about the baddest woman on the planet. But the last time that I came to this show, I dropped you right here on the mat. Out." because she did. The show she got punched up at Nia Jax. And she goes, and after that, you never came looking. You never came looking for me. You never came looking for me, so I came here to look for you or whatever, you know? So, last night I won the Royal Rumble. Unlike Seth Rollins, I don't need any time to think. I choose you, Ronda. At WrestleMania, I'm going to break your mystique, take your title, and kick your ass in front of the whole world. Yeah, this was a pretty good promo. Becky can hack it in the promo game. Ronda, this promo was much better, I thought. This promo was much better than her previous one that she had cut before the match against Bayley. This sounded way better. It sounded more menacing. But even then, the crowd was booing the hell out of her. They did not give a shit. And Rousey goes, I don't want to just beat you, Becky. I want to beat the best version of you. Everyone knows I could re-break your face faster than you can say Nia Jax. So they're still pointing that out. I mean, I'm pointing it out for comedy, you know? But they're just trying to get a reaction out of it because they know it will. And even then, well, I can't even say that because even then it's not getting that much of a reaction anymore. So, Ronda goes along these lines and she says, I can kill you with my bare hands without breaking a sweat. And Becky is just not having this at all either. She is just smiling and smirking. She is not selling this promo one bit, and it was awesome. Becky looked great here. She did not care at all what Ronda had to say about her. Ronda goes, I just realized we're the same age. And when you were training, Becky, I was main eventing in UFC, and I've been a household name for a decade. That was pretty much it. Ronda's promo work was much better. She actually sounded better. And Becky no-sold it. The crowd did not care. The crowd was booing Ronda the entire time she was cutting this promo. So Becky was smiling, and it just looked great. And I cannot see a world in which Becky does not win at WrestleMania. Whether they put Charlotte in the match or not, there's no way Becky's going to lose. If Becky loses, it would be a travesty of booking. Ronda's first loss right now should be against Becky. She's the most over person in the entire company. She's more over than Ronda, that's for sure. Yeah. That was that. Next up, Seth Rollins is thinking about what he's gonna do, who he's gonna pick backstage. And Braun Strowman comes out of nowhere. And he offers him a handshake. And he goes, you earned it last night. And Rollins shakes Braun's hand as a token of respect. So I guess Braun is face, like an actual face now. Braun Strowman tells him to make the right choice. And you can tell he's probably thinking, pick Brock, you know. So up next is Braun Strowman versus Drew McIntyre. And again, I got triggered at this match because Baron Corbin came out and attacked Braun Strowman. So Braun Strowman got attacked by Drew McIntyre and Baron Corbin, both a double team. And I am so tired of Corbin and Strowman. Can somebody just win? Can somebody just win? Like, why are we still on this? Just new era. That's all I have to say. New era, by the way. Here's Baron Corbin versus Strowman again. Like, this feud is never going to end either. I have nothing to say about this. Fuck it. I'm going to go on to the next thing, because this is already too long, and I got to still get on to SmackDown. Next up, they announced Sasha Banks and Bayley next week versus Alicia Fox and Nikki Cross for that women's tag title qualifier match. And that's an interesting pairing, Alicia Fox and Nikki Cross, because both of their characters are that they're crazy. Which actually, there's some potential in that team, I think. Yeah, I'm not completely against that. That's kind of funny how they're both crazy. So, well, at least Alicia Fox is. If she's not crazy, she's weird. But I think that her character is that she's crazy, or very hyperactive. So, up next, Brock Lesnar comes out. Paul Heyman cuts his promo. Of course, he's doing whatever. It's the same promo that he cuts every week now with Brock. Seth Rollins comes out to interrupt Brock. He gets in the ring fast and quickly, just face to face, Brock Lesnar, like right in his face. So he starts punching Brock Lesnar, laying some offense into him. He's looking great, looking strong. But then he comes off the ropes, he's caught in an F5, gets hit with an F5. Then Brock picks him up again, hits a second F5. Picks him up again, hits a third F5. Picks him up again, hits a fourth F5. So he starts to leave the ring, and he starts to leave the ring. He doesn't leave the ring yet. He starts to leave the ring, and Seth is like, "Is that all you got?" Then he gets hit with another F5. So he got hit with... I actually missed an F5 because there were so many. He got hit with 6 F5s, folks. He got hit with 6 F5s. You know who else got hit with 6 F5s? Roman Reigns. So, let's hope that Seth Rollins at WrestleMania does not lose via 6 F5s to Brock Lesnar in the title match like Roman Reigns did. So yeah, that was Raw. I did not like Raw. I was not a huge fan of Raw. The Becky thing was totally fine. That was fine with me. Other than that, pretty forgettable show. Questionable things on the show, like Elias turning and Baron Corbin versus Braun Strowman still existing. And yeah, I'll get on to SmackDown right now before I lose my voice. So, yeah, SmackDown started. Started with a video package of the Rumble, the Women's Rumble, and of what happened on Raw the previous night with Becky and Ronda. And Becky comes out, and she gets, of course, a great reaction. She's still hobbling out there. She goes, "I couldn't resist going to Raw to look Ronda in her angry little eyes." And you know that probably does get under Ronda's skin. It only took me 2 seconds to see how different they are. Because unlike Ronda, I don't crumble when I lose. I went out after losing the title match against Asuka and won the Rumble on just one leg. Arrogant Rousey wants to talk about her working her way up like it's something to be ashamed of. But she's proud. But I'm proud of the work that I had to put in to get here. I'm most proud of working my way up from the pre-show of last year's WrestleMania to this year's main event. Nobody handed me nothing. The main thing I saw in Ronda's eyes last night is something she doesn't have anymore. Doubt. Becky says she's going to break her arm at WrestleMania. If Rousey doesn't walk in knowing that, she's going to walk out feeling it. So this was a pretty good promo. Charlotte came out, and I groaned a little bit because I thought this was going to set up the Ronda, Charlotte, and Becky triple threat. But no, instead, Charlotte comes out. She's mocking Becky. She's sarcastically congratulating Becky for winning the Rumble. She goes, "I'm so proud of you for making it off the kickoff show. You must be ecstatic. Feels great, doesn't it? I'm so proud of you. Seriously. I love it." And she goes, "Maybe you learned something from me. Maybe you learned to be the man because of the lessons you learned from the Queen." And she's still, disrespecting her, mocking her, and you can tell Charlotte's salty that she lost. And Becky, out of nowhere, sucker punches Charlotte. And this turned into a gif. She sucker punched her, dude. She didn't sucker punch her like Nia Jax, of course. No. That would take, no, you can't. I'm surprised they didn't mention that. How many times they mentioned that. So Becky goes to leave after that, and Charlotte comes from behind down the ramp and attacks Becky. So they're brawling outside the ring. The refs and the producers break them up as the crowd's chanting, "Let them fight." And yeah, they should have just let them fight, to be honest. I don't see why not. But up next, they show Nakamura backstage with his U.S. title, and he's defending it against R-Truth. So that kind of came out of nowhere. They didn't even announce that. R-Truth comes out. He says that he got jacked up at the Rumble, and thanks to Nia, I did not even get to enter the Rumble. Carmelo goes, "We fought hard for those spots, and Truth deserved it." And he did. He did. They're not wrong. They have a very valid argument. So R-Truth goes, "I don't know how it happened. One minute I was rapping, and the next I was napping." God bless R-Truth. I love R-Truth so much. Just bless him. If I hadn't been attacked by Nia, I would have won that match, says Truth. And he goes, "The McMahons know it too, and that's why I got this U.S. title match tonight." So I guess they're trying to portray that the U.S. title is just a consolation, right? Just well, you might have got screwed, so here's a title match. It's just a consolation match. So this match was Nakamura comes out. This match was not very long. I don't even know if this was planned, but I don't know what happened here. Shinsuke had R-Truth in a fireman's carry, right? And R-Truth countered with a small package. We've seen that many times. He countered with a small package, and the ref counts 1, the ref counts 2, and at like 2.5, I guess, Nakamura kicks out, but the ref counts 3. So since he kicked out, they both got up, and R-Truth went for a move because I guess he didn't even know that he knew he kicked out, but the bell rang. So R-Truth's like, "Wait, what?" And Nakamura's like, "Wait, what?" And the bell rings, and the crowd's like, "Wait, what?" And the crowd goes crazy, and the ring announcer's like, "Your new United States champion, R-Truth." So R-Truth is now the U.S. champion. So this was botched. I think this was totally botched. It was not planned, unless it was, and it was stupid if it was planned. But yeah, Shinsuke lost the title, and they showed a replay of it, and it looked like he kicked out to me. Yeah, Shinsuke got fucked, I thought. So Shinsuke is arguing with the ref. This is a travesty, blah, blah, blah. Only in Japanese, of course. But Rusev comes out. Rusev comes out of nowhere. And he's like, "This just isn't right. Oh, God. So first they turn Elias, and now they turn Rusev. Let's just keep turning every single babyface that we have over into a heel. Let's turn Finn Balor heel, We might as well. Let's turn Seth Rollins into a heel, Who cares? Let's turn Becky Lynch into a heel, Doesn't matter. Hey, R-Truth is organically over with the crowd. Let's turn him heel now that he's a champion. So Rusev comes out and says, "This is bullshit. I beat Nakamura for the title because it deserved better than Nakamura. And it for damn sure deserves better than you," talking about R-Truth. So I guess he's a heel now. So Rusev gets in the ring and he challenges Truth to a title match. And he eggs Truth on. He pushes Truth. So Truth is like, "All right, fine, you get a title match." So then they just make the title match. I guess R-Truth is a general manager now. He can just make matches. So comes back from commercial. They're in a match. This was very, very short, of course. I don't even know why I said "of course," but this match was pretty short. Yeah, R-Truth just kind of pinned Rusev to retain, and Rusev was very shocked, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I was shocked that this was even happening because it looked all like a botch to me. But Nakamura came out of nowhere and attacked Truth in the ring. And Rusev and Nakamura both attack R-Truth. So now it's official that Rusev is heel after this. Because, I mean, come on. He's teaming up with a heel to beat up down on a babyface. So, yeah, way to treat your new champion, huh? So, yeah, after that, Becky Lynch is on her way out of the building. She's going up to her car, and the interviewer comes up and she's like, "I'm fine. I'm not gonna spend any more time on the shelf. I'm sick of it. I'm not accepting medical help." And then she leaves. So there's that. Rey Mysterio comes out, and he's going to have a match with... what the hell is he going to have a match with? Samoa Joe, that's right. Rey Mysterio comes out, and he's going to have a match with Samoa Joe. We get back from commercial, and Rey is out there waiting for Joe, and then Zelina Vega comes out and says that, I know you're responsible for having me barred from ringside last week, talking about that 2 out of 3 falls match. Am I really that distracting that you can't focus on Andrade? And she like, you are focusing too much on this, and she like kind of rubs her body a little bit, you know, kind of like that attractive appeal, as if Rey would be distracted because of how beautiful Zelina is, which was clever, I guess, clever attention to detail. But then out of nowhere, Andrade comes up and attacks Rey, and one of the feuds I'm totally fine with continuing because these guys always put on awesome matches, and I'm totally fine with this. So, he lays waste to Rey. Rey goes, actually counters all of this, gets him in position for a 619. Rey comes up to get hit the 619. Almost hits the elbow. He hits the hammerlock DDT on him. He stands tall over Rey. So I'm cool with that because those two are just amazing. I'm totally fine with that match and feud happening. I'm almost starting to wonder what more could they do because they've had so many great matches, you know? I'm starting to wonder what, yeah. I think they still obviously are capable of having great matches, unless they overdo it, of course, but I don't think they're at the point yet where they're overdoing it with this feud, because it's one thing to overdo a feud that nobody cares about and that you're sick of seeing. It's another thing to keep going with a feud that everyone loves and everyone is into and everyone enjoys watching. So yeah, I'm fine with this. Okay. So up next, backstage, Rusev is just standing there in like the locker room, and the club, Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, come up and goes, "Hey man, what was that all about? That wasn't very nice," or whatever, you know, just the babyface promo. That wasn't a very good thing you did to them. So Rusev tells them, "Shouldn't you be catering right now?" Which was a funny line because that's actually a good point. Again, I ranted about Shane and Miz being champs, or the club are just back there and catering. So Shinsuke comes out of nowhere. The club challenge Shinsuke and Rusev to a match next week on SmackDown. They accept, and Rusev goes, "I will team with you this one time, but if you screw me over, you're gonna get it," or whatever. So yeah, Rusev and Nakamura versus the club next week on SmackDown is official. So after that, we got The Miz and Shane McMahon in the ring to celebrate that they won the titles. And I don't know. Just, again, I don't want to get ranting about it, but long story short, The Miz's dad comes out. His name is George Mizanin. So George comes out, Miz's father, and The Miz celebrates with Shane, or The Miz's father celebrates with Shane and Miz, and he holds up the titles, and Miz's dad is handed the mic, and he goes, "Miz, I love you, and I'm very proud of you." And they hug, and I'm over this already. So they go backstage, and they're going to see who faces them next for the SmackDown Tag Team titles at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. There's going to be a fatal 4-way tag team elimination match between Heavy Machinery, Otis Dozovich and Tucker Knight, New Day, The Bar, and the Usos. So that will be after the break, I guess. So after the break, we have a backstage segment between Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, and they just go, "We are declaring that we are in the Elimination Chamber match for the women's tag team titles." And I'm like, wait, you're just declaring that? And then a graphic shows up, and then they're on the graphic, like in the match. Like, so SmackDown teams get to just declare that they're in, but Raw tag teams have to qualify? Like, that's kind of BS. And even Sasha Banks was on Twitter, and she just tweeted one word, declared. And I completely agree. That's kind of bullshit, don't you think? You just declare that you're in when others have to qualify. If that's the case, if we can just start declaring things now, I declare that Brock Lesnar be stripped of the Universal title. Better happen now. So, yeah. Mandy's has an announcement to make. She says, "I have footage of why I hate Naomi and why I've been trying to fuck with her for so long." So she shows footage of Tough Enough from 2015. What, if you recall, Mandy and Sonya were on that show, Tough Enough 2015, and the clip she was showing was her being like, I guess, shit on verbally or whatever by Naomi when she was teaming up with Sasha, Team Bad, if you remember. And Mandy uses that as her reasoning as to why she never liked Naomi and why she held it in all these years. And yeah. Mandy said she cried, or Sonya said that Mandy cried because of all this shit backstage after that happened, and blah blah blah. Mandy says that she cried and cried and cried, and she developed a complex so bad that my boyfriend dumped me. So they're kind of making Mandy out into a little bit of a face here, right? Like, she got shat on so badly that her boyfriend dumped her. She was depressed. She goes, "Naomi ruined my relationship, so I went after hers. It will never end. But for right now, my mind is on the Elimination Chamber." So that's why that feud is happening. So, at least they're explaining more, At least they're actually explaining why the feud exists, which most feuds exist just because no reasoning. They're just like, "Oh, I don't like you," and "Oh, I don't like you, so let's fight." Like, at least there's actual reasoning and explanation. I'm all for that. Whether the feud itself and the storyline itself is entertaining, I am all for explanation. So up next, we had the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team Elimination match, the number one contenders match to see who faces Shane and Miz at the Elimination Chamber. And like I said, it's Heavy Machinery, New Day, Bar, and the Usos. So I predicted that Heavy Machinery would be in the final two because there's one heel team here. It's the Bar. So I just assumed, Shane and Miz are heels, and maybe they'll just have Bar win their match to get their rematch because they're the only heels. But I was wrong. Heavy Machinery eliminated New Day, and they got the rub in that sense, so that's cool. Good to see that Heavy Machinery is actually being shown as a strong team right off the bat, so that's fun. This SmackDown commentary team did much better putting over the tag team of Heavy Machinery more than... Was it SmackDown last week that I was ranting about, or was it Raw? I remember when Heavy Machinery came out to have a match last week, and the commentary was laughing and hooting and hollering and just not paying attention at all. So I think it might have been Raw. So this SmackDown team did much better. They made them look good. The Bar eliminated Heavy Machinery. So now it's just down to Usos and the Bar as the final two teams. And it ended with the Usos super kicking both of them. And they dove up onto... who'd they pin? Sheamus? I think they pinned Sheamus. They pinned Sheamus with a big splash from the top rope. So it's the Usos, again, in the tag team title match. New era, by the way. New era. So, I like the Usos, but again, just how many times they always resort back to the same, even when they don't. You know what I mean? Like, they threw together a random tag team in Miz and Shane So like they didn't resort to the same in that sense. But here we are again, the Usos. I love the Usos, of course. I'm not saying I dislike the Usos and I just hate them and I don't want to see them. No, that's not the issue. The issue is I'm about burnt out on seeing the Usos in a title match, like, and the New Day every show. Where's the variety? It always comes back to New Day and the Usos all the time. So that's why I'm saying they need to shake up Raw and SmackDown a little bit in the tag team part. You know, maybe Revival would benefit from a move to SmackDown. Who knows? Maybe you could have Revival move to SmackDown and challenge Miz and Shane for the titles and have them say, "Oh, what a travesty this is." You know, a 49-year-old dude, a McMahon, is a champion. Huh? How about that opportunity, huh? So Revival challenge Miz and Shane. They win the tag titles and they're finally taken seriously again. That's my fantasy booking. So yeah. Also, I should note during this Fatal 4-Way Tag Team Elimination match, the entire match, Corey Graves would not shut his trap about Mandy Rose sending us notifications, not notifications, but like updates is the word I'm looking for. Kept sending us updates about the well-being of Mandy, and she's fine, and she's texting me and blah. Shut up! Why are you not paying attention to the match? It's so annoying. Corey Graves is a good commentator. The reason they're making him out to be like an idiot, I know he's a heel. I get that he's a heel. But even heel commentators way back when would still focus on the match. But I just hate commentary now. They don't even focus on the match at all. That's my rant about commentary this week. It's probably, I don't know. Daniel Bryan comes out, and the crowd chants Becky, which was funny. The crowd was chanting Becky when Bryan was out there, and he goes, "No." And yeah, it was funny, because what are you going to do? You can't stop the crowd. So he asked the crowd, do you guys know who won on Sunday? And he goes, each and every one of you won. The children won. The children's children won. You all won because I won at Royal Rumble, and a victory for me is a victory for every being on this planet, because I am the planet's champion. And he goes, I don't expect you to understand what I'm saying, because none of you know what winning actually feels like. But that's okay, because I found somebody who understands the truth in what I say. And that man came out to help me on Sunday. Not for him, or not for me, I should say. I'm reading these notes, so I'm changing words in and out. Not for me, but for the greater good. Eric Rowan. And, oh yeah, I should note that I guess his name is just now Rowan. It's not Eric Rowan, so it's just Rowan. They're doing their old shave off the name thing. I guess it's too much to say. So, Rowan comes out, and he comes out with his music. His original music, which I thought was cool, because I actually liked his theme song. So, Rowan comes out. He has like a knapsack on his shoulder, and I knew what this was immediately. So, what do you see when you look at Rowan? You probably see a mindless runt, but I see him for what he really is. He spends his time reading Chaucer, and yes, his hands are dirty. That's because he works with the dirt of the earth. Rowan is my intellectual peer. Even somebody as ignorant as AJ Styles is right sometimes. I am a hypocrite, Daniel says. Daniel admits that he's a hypocrite, because I carry this title around. Rowan grabs a trash can and brings it into the ring. And what do you see when you see this title? It's a symbol of excellence and excess. It's gaudy, made from cheap labor, and worst of all, bound to the skin of a cow whose life was taken from her. I'd like to give that cow a name. In my mind, that cow's name was Daisy. Daisy had the ability to feel immense joy, which she didn't get to feel much of in this life, and also immense pain, which she did feel. Daisy was forced to give her life for this symbol, and this symbol is the very thing that Rowan and I stand against. He throws the WWE title in the trash can, and people got stirred up about that. How dare you disrespect the title? Well, he's a heel. You've never seen title reveals before, people. There's been many title changes and new titles revealed. So through the belt. Here I am, just broke through the title. Through the title belt in the trash, and he tells Rowan to pull out that knapsack that he had on his shoulder. He brings out a title, and the title looks like wood. It's made out of hemp and wood grain, decorated with I don't even know what it was decorated with. If those are real stones. I don't know. I would assume not, because it looks pretty cheaply made. Actually, you know what? For it being made out of hemp and wood grain, it actually doesn't look too bad. In my opinion, I actually think it looks pretty good. Maybe I'm just a mark for this story. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a dumb mark, in the words of Vince Russo. But he starts going along these lines again, talking about it, and AJ Styles comes out and interrupts him. And he goes, you think I was just going to stand in the back and let you do this? And this was my favorite line. He asked Daniel if he was smoking what that title was made out of. That was funny. And AJ goes, for somebody who doesn't like big corporations, you sure went and found yourself a big insurance policy. Talking about Rowan. And Randy Orton comes out to interrupt. And I thought, uh-oh, we're doing this. So then it goes to commercial break. That was an odd commercial break. So back from commercial break, Mustafa Ali's coming down. He's cutting a promo on people. And I see a bunch of Hall of Famers arguing where the line starts. Mustafa points out that I beat Daniel Bryan. And Randy Orton says that, didn't you get eliminated by a girl? Was that a little sexist? What's wrong with being eliminated by a girl, huh, Randy? Mustafa didn't say that. I'm saying that. So Mustafa goes to say something, and by the way, it comes back to a commercial, and in the ring is Randy Orton, Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles, and Jeff Hardy, and now Mustafa Ali. So Jeff Hardy came out during the commercial break as well. Samoa Joe comes out, and damn, Samoa Joe comes out, and he cut this awesome promo. He says, I'm out here to put a champion to sleep. I'm going to defang the Viper. I already put Jeff Hardy to sleep. And he goes, Jeff, you shouldn't even be out here. I already put you to sleep. And Jeff tells him, he tries to retort and tells him to shut up. And Samoa Joe's, why don't you treat this like an AA meeting and shut your mouth while I'm talking and sharing with the group? And that got a reaction. And Randy Orton, of course, he kneeled over and started laughing. And he went up to Ali, who he's feuding with. And he goes, Mustafa, you're a boy among men. You got lucky at the Rumble. But you've got a reality check in your eyes. And your eyes don't lie either, because they were closed real tight when I put your simple ass to sleep last week. So Joe is one of the best promos on the entire world. Joe can make you care like no other. And he went up to AJ and he goes, hey, AJ, I got to ask. How's our girl Wendy doing? And then that's when all hell breaks loose and the brawls continue and go on. And Daniel and Rowan got out of the ring. They got up on top of the announce table. He goes, none of you people are getting title shots. I'm going to be champion forever. And I guess they don't hear because they're just still brawling. And Triple H appears. He gets on the Titantron. And Triple H goes, hey, Daniel, I just want to tell you that you are, in fact, right. You are not facing any one of those superstars. You are facing all of them inside the Elimination Chamber. And the brawl continues. And Bryan just kind of leaves. And yeah, that's how the show ends, with just brawling. So that's the show. That's SmackDown for you. So yeah, I thought SmackDown was good. SmackDown was what did I not like on SmackDown? There was something that I didn't really like. Of course, I didn't like the fact that I did not like the fact that um Mandy and Sonya just declared themselves. Like it just seems unfair to the other wrestlers that actually have to qualify, you know? Like I don't know. I guess both shows are just, and not to mention, I just thought of this. Shane McMahon is always talking about you earn your opportunity. You earn your opportunity, this and that. Well, okay. Well, if you earn your opportunity around here, why the hell do you just get to declare that you're in the match? You didn't have to earn your opportunity then. Yeah, that part I didn't like. Other than that, I really can't think of anything else that I didn't like on this show. I mean, anything else that I didn't outright like. I pretty much was into everything else. Everything was fine. SmackDown was miles better than Raw, and yeah, that's it. That was my solo review of the Royal Rumble, Raw, and SmackDown. And hopefully, I don't have to do this too much more often. But Eric wasn't feeling too great. Understandable. He had a long day yesterday, and he has to work a lot of hours too when he is going through the week, and it's understandable. So hopefully we can continue our regular dual reviews starting next week. Raw's tomorrow. Some stuff on Raw. Becky Lynch and Stephanie McMahon are going to be having a segment together. They confirmed that. Stephanie invited Becky to Raw, I guess, to talk to her. So Stephanie's going to insert herself into something again. What a shocker. Jeff Jarrett versus Elias one-on-one. I think Road Dogg will be in Jeff Jarrett's corner. I think. Did they announce anything for SmackDown? I can't remember. Either way, I'll try to keep things going up on the Twitter account and the Pod Tellers Twitter account, of course. I guess I should plug that too. I should comment down and put in the description the social media accounts. So yeah, that was my review. Thank you all to those who watched myself try not to ramble and go a lot. And yeah, we'll see you next week. Probably on the weekend. Actually, we're thinking about moving the show altogether from Wednesday to the weekends because it's easier for us to do on the weekends. And yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you next week. Goodbye, everyone.